in obedience. Trust me when I say that. So let me still refer to my manufacturer story. It's actually become my favorite story now. So when a manufacturer makes a product and puts the manual there, like I explained in my previous video, he adds instructions, and I believe that if you read the instruction and you go according to the instruction, there is no way that a machine or equipment you've bought is going to get spoiled. And after all, you still be covered by the warranty guarantee aspect of going according to the instructions. You wouldn't have to deal with any consequences of not going by what the product is supposed to do. So I bought a blender according to the manufacturer's instruction. It says that before you blend, you're supposed to have it covered. Before you wash, you're supposed to take the blade from inside the blender. Why is this instruction there? Imagine not taking the blade out of the blender and washing with your hand and the blade inside the bowl. You could have cuts. And so I believe that these instructions are there to protect us and to save us. The manufacturer of a car has designed a particular car to use gasoline, and you go and buy water and you put it in, or you go and buy Frytol or anointing oil and you put it in that car. You are actually going to damage the engine of the car, and you would have to pay extra to have the car repaired. And it's same with God. And when God gives us instructions, when God gives us laws, guidelines, it's actually because he's doing all those things, and he's put all those measures and commandments there to protect you and myself. God says in the Bible that you should not bear grudges. Honestly, bearing grudges is actually one of the most difficult things you can ever do to yourself, like the most harmful things you can ever do to yourself. You are the one who's always thinking, what am I going to do to this person? What, you know, you have all these funny ideas about what you're going to do with the person, what you're going to do in retaliation, as a revenge, and you're always thinking, and when you see the person, like, you're not able to live freely. So if the Bible is saying do not bear grudges, it means God is trying to save you. And I believe that anytime we obey these instructions, anytime we obey these laws that have been set out for us as human beings, set out by authorities, set out by government, set out by our employers, it is to our favor. I want us to read a text from Genesis chapter 1. I'll briefly summarize it. Genesis chapter 1 and then chapter 2, 3. The story was about a man, Adam and Eve. And when God instructed them not to eat from the fruit in the middle of the garden, the enemy told them, no, that is actually not true. And at the end of the day, when they sinned and then they ate of the fruit in the middle of the garden, and we are still suffering from the consequences. And this is to tell you that if you abide by what God says, you actually enjoy freedom. Let me use the grudge instance. So you are bearing grudge with somebody, and as I said earlier, you're the one who is actually not free, because you're still holding on to all these revenge, all these retaliation, all these funny things you have in your mind. And when you see that person, your heart skips a beat, and the person is eating their food, and you're thinking, I wish I could just pour this food away, I wish I could do this, I wish I could do that. You're actually the one who is not free. But let me share this very, very heartbreaking moment that I had, and this was as a result of not following God and not obeying God. So I remember I met this guy, and then I evangelized to this guy, and he was like an unbeliever, or he was a believer but not really like into the things of God. So I drew him to church. He started his Christian walk, and one day I heard God clearly tell me, do not date this gentleman. I was like, oh God, he's working on his spiritual life. I kept giving God excuses that he was actually, because I had seen him develop in his spiritual life, and God was like, no, don't. Okay, I was like, oh God, all these excuses we give when we actually find somebody attractive and we feel like they are potential, you know, like husbands and wives. And I went ahead and dated this guy. They had breaks. I won't say it today. Imagine if I had listened to God, I would have saved myself from all these heartbreaks. You remember all those times when as kids, our parents would tell us, don't go here. And then you're actually going there and you're looking back and thinking, hey, what if my mommy comes, what if my daddy comes? And they actually come and you receive spanking from them because you actually did not obey them. Imagine if you had listened to them and you had not gone where you were not supposed to go, then you wouldn't be receiving all those spanks and you wouldn't be having to look back all the time. So I am here to encourage you. If God has called you to start something, if God has called you to stop a particular behavior or act, if God has called you to do something, it could be as little as giving out something to somebody. It could be as little as starting a YouTube channel. It could be as little as starting a business. Whatever God has called you to, honestly, if you obey him, there is a lot of freedom. You are saved from mental stress, physical stress, emotional stress, all the stress that comes with being disobedient. And I believe that as Christians, even in the Bible, we see so many people obeying the voice of God, like Joshua, like Moses, obeying the voice of God, and at the end of the day they walked in true joy and true happiness. I'm here to encourage you, whatever God has put on your heart, just obey God. Once God is telling you to go for it, he has prepared you for it, and there is so much freedom in obedience. Catch you guys later. Bye.